Hey, this is Dr. Thomas, math instructor at Lawson State Community College, and in this integrity video I want to show you how to factor a trinomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c when a equals 1. You should always factor out the GCF first if there is one, and when we are factoring these type of trinomials, we normally find factors of the last term, the constant term, that add up to b, the middle term's coefficient. And just remember, you need to check your answer always, either in your head or on paper, by either foiling, which is the same thing as the distributive property. Remember that factors or trinomials are the product of two binomials, and in rare cases an expression can be not factorable. So if you can't seem to find the factors and you tried every factor possible, then possibly your answer is not factorable. So let's get started. Let's first factor x squared plus 2x minus 15. So notice that in this case the a equals 1. A equals 1 is the leading coefficient. So the leading coefficient is the number considered to be in front of the term with the highest exponent. So since we do not see a number, it's considered to be 1. Just like the exponent of this x, even though we don't see an exponent, is considered to be x to the first power. Okay, so our a equals 1. Let's just proceed. When a equals 1, this is normally the simpler case to factor, so it's really an easy process. What you need to do is find factors of this last term here, negative 15. Find factors of negative 15 that when you add those factors together, you get the middle term 2x. Okay? Again, find factors of negative 15 that when you add them together will give you the middle term 2x. Okay, so it's best to go ahead and just write all the factors out of negative 15. Of course, we know that one of these numbers need to be negative and one needs to be positive. We're not going to really worry about that right now. Let's just write the factors to 15. We have 1 and 15. We have 3 and 5. And that's it. Okay, we have 15 and 1. But notice that if we keep the 5 positive but make the 3 negative, now when we add these together we get the positive 2 that we need. So it must work both ways. You must be able to multiply these two numbers together to get the negative 15, but at the same time add the two numbers together to get the middle term. Okay, it has to work both ways. Since we know that the factors of trinomials are two binomials, go ahead and put two sets of parentheses. For the first position here, we're going to put two terms that when we multiply them together will give us the first term in our expression, x squared. So we know that it has to be x and x. Then for the last positions here in each parenthesis, we're going to put the numbers that we found that worked for negative 15, and then if we add those two numbers we got positive 2. So it turns out to be negative 3, so we'll put minus 3, and positive 5, so we'll put plus 5. So this is our answer. X minus 3 times x plus 5. How do you check? Multiplication is really the reverse of factoring. So all you have to do is multiply x minus 3 times x plus 5. Let's do it. X minus 3 times x plus 5. Let's make sure we get the same thing as the original expression. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. Negative 3 times x. Negative 3 times 5. Negative 15. So we get x squared. Here we have like terms. We have the positive 2x minus 15. So it checks out because we have the same thing as the original expression. We're done. Let's go on to another problem. Let's try factoring x squared plus 5x plus 6. Again, a equals 1. And one thing I forgot to mention in the last problem is always look for the GCF first. So we do not have a GCF for this problem, so that's why we just go ahead and proceed to factor x squared plus 5x plus 6 as the trinomial. Now, we find factors of 6, the last term, that when we add them together will give us 5. So we have 1 and 6. 1 times 6 is 6, but when you add 1 plus 6, you do not get 5, you get 7. Okay, so that's not it. Try 2 and 3. 2 times 3 is 6, but when you add them together, you do get the 5 that you need. Therefore, the factors are x and x again, because x times x gives us this x squared. Then we put the positive 2 and the positive 3 that we found. Always check. You do not have to do it manually and write it down, but you need to check in your head if possible. So x plus 2, x plus 3, x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 3 is 6. So you get the x squared plus 5x plus 6. It checks out. Let's move on. Let's go to a very similar problem to that one. It is y squared. Right factor. All of these are factoring problems. Y squared minus 5y plus 6. Now that looks very familiar, right? It looks like the last problem, but the only thing that changed was this sign here. Okay, so that sign changed. Do you think it will change the answer? Okay, let's see. Factors of 6 that'll give you negative 5. So here we have 1 and 6. If we add 1 and 6 together, we get 7. 2 and 3. If we add that together, we get 5. Now we're supposed to get a negative 5. So all we really have to do is tweak this a little and make the 2 negative and the 3 negative. Because if I multiply a negative 2 times a negative 3, I still get the positive 6 that I need here. But it will give me the negative 5 in the middle. So that's how I know that my answer is y minus 2 times y minus 3. Always check. I'm not going to check here, but you need to check it every time so you know that that answer is correct when you take a test. Alright, one more. Factor 2x squared y plus 2xy minus 40y. Whoa, something's different about this problem. Okay, there's a lot of terms going on, and when you see a lot of terms and it looks a little unfamiliar, just always think about the first step of factoring. The first step is always to take out the GCF first. So what is the GCF here? So think about it. it is 2y. So we're going to take out this 2y first, which is the GCF, and we're going to put the remaining factor inside the parentheses. When I multiply 2y times everything in this parenthesis, it needs to be the same as the original problem. So 2y times what is 2x squared y? It is x squared. Okay, we have plus 2y times what is 2xy? It is x. Then 2y times what is negative 4y? It is negative 20. Alright. Now look what emerges here. Don't just stop here, because we have a trinomial that emerged. What is a trinomial? When you see 3 terms. Alright, so it should look familiar to you. Now we need to factor completely, meaning we need to also factor this x squared plus x minus 20. Okay, so the last term here is negative 20. We need to find factors of negative 20 that will give me what number? The middle coefficient. Now do not say x. It is not x. You don't see a number there, so it's considered to be a 1 here, not x. So we need to find factors of negative 20 that when added together gives us the positive 1. So you can go through the list of writing all your factors. For example, 120, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, and this should really ring a bell here, because if I just tweak this one of these signs, I'll get that positive 1. I want my 5 to be positive, so let's make the 4 negative, because now when I add negative 4 plus 5 together, I get the positive 1 that's in the middle. Alright, so do not do anything to that 2y, but bring it down. Do not get rid of it. It is also a part of the factors to the original problem. So the factors for x squared plus x minus 20 is x minus 4 and x plus 5. So we have 2y times x minus 4 times x plus 5 as the answer. Well, I hope this helps you to factor trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c when a equals 1. Be on the lookout for the next video, which is the part 2 of factoring trinomials when a does not equal 1.